Welcome to my Unit 7 Memory, Memoir, and Mastery presentation. The book that I read during EDU 604 was titled Mi Voz Mi Vida, Latino College Students Tell Their Life Stories. The three authors are Andrew Garrett, Robert Kilkenny, and Christina Gomez. Here is a brief summary and overview of the text. This book takes a deep dive into different Latino college students and their struggles and successes. The book categorizes the stories into 4 sections: resilience, biculturalism, mentoring, and Latino identities. There are a plethora of genders, ethnicities, family dynamics, socioeconomic statuses, and educational journeys represented in this text. The students that are represented wrote their essays in a very raw and meaningful way. This made reading the text feel like reading someone's personal journal. I made 3 connections to course objectives. The first objective is analyze theories of ethnic identity. This text includes stories about Latino college students who struggle with their ethnic identity, often toiling between 2 identities, white and their Latino identity. The second objective is evaluate the nature of race relations and prejudice. The students that tell their stories often face prejudice in their lives, many in the educational setting or with their white peers. Subtle comments and relational dynamics are exposed as prejudice by the students. Even one student goes to explain his own prejudice towards himself. The third objective is analyze how culture affects learning and achievement. The profiles in this text provide the reader with an idea on how culture, ethnicity, and race can affect one's educational journey, both positively and negatively. There are 2 voices that really resonated with me. The first being Eric's story he titled The Devil's Within. I was so angry at Eric's parents, and I did not think if I were Eric, I would have such a level of peace when it comes to my relationship with my parents. They were so unstable and unreliable, yet Eric chose to take away the good aspects about them that he could find. In my opinion, his story came out on the top in regards to resilience. I felt the most inspired, shocked, and touched by his story. I remember reading this at the gym on the treadmill on my phone, and I feel like I audibly gasped while reading it. Eric's story was very sad, but also very inspiring. He really took a bad situation and made it his motivation. The second voice that resonated with me was Angelina Urina's story. I felt Angelita's story connected to how many immigrant students and families hold their education to a high standard, work hard in school, and appreciate their teachers compared to their white native counterparts. Angelita took her education seriously. Her family celebrated her college graduation from the early morning hours of that wonderful day. I felt as though Angelina really had a great outlook on life, and her family really helped her support that, especially her mother. She felt that she had a great support system, and the celebration of her graduation really will be a landmark in her life. What challenges and opportunities did these students face? Identity challenges is the largest setback that came up for many of these students. I found a common theme of these students feeling torn between Latino-ness and whiteness. Social pressures did not help them resonate with their Latino culture. For example, Jose Garcia's friends saw him as white because he didn't fit into Latino male stereotypes, such as carrying a gun or doing drugs. And because of this, Jose was deemed normal. To fit in at a white school, Jose continued to deny his Latino culture. Opportunities presented themselves when these students went to schools and met educators who were on their side and rooted for their success. For example, Joseph benefited from multicultural education when he switched schools. Not only was Joseph surrounded with diverse peers, his teacher affirmed his culture. This kind of multicultural education utilizes a common ground to merge cultures and identities to make for a better American society. What would I do to assist these students? Socially, I would celebrate these students' Latino culture. Many of the students in the book struggled to identify with their Latino culture, whether it be because of negative stereotypes, familial failures, or peer pressures. I would want these students to be able to develop their identity, so my affirmation and celebration of their Latino-ness will remind them that not everyone sees that aspect of them as bad. Many of these students feel they had to hide their Latino side, and this negatively impacted their identity with their culture. If I could help them feel comfortable with this part of their identity, I would. I could do this through cultural clubs, projects, a classroom quilt, or by using their native language in class. To support these students academically, many of these students in the text came to the US for a better life, and for their parents to have better opportunities to support their children. Because of this, money may be tight as they transition their lives. Poverty plays a large role in educational inequity and the achievement gap. To support these students in hopes for them not to become another part of these achievement gap statistics, I would encourage family involvement. Gorski suggests that this because many families who lead busy lives due to multiple jobs find it hard to participate in their children's education. I would commit to finding easy ways to encourage them to do so. I would not change my expectations for these students as well. Many educators change their teaching strategies or content to less rigorous, probably because of assumptions about these students' academic ability, but I could commit to giving all students a high quality education. Here is a summary of my learning and further research that I believe is needed in this area. I learned that Latino students often feel the struggle to look, act, and be more white. This can really impact their sense of self, identity, and school performance. As an educator, it is important to be aware of this and be conscious about our pedagogy. I learned that despite typical assumptions, many ELL and immigrant students take their education seriously and work hard in school. I was motivated to think about the high standard us teachers are held at and how we can be that support these students need as they progress through their educational journey. Looking forward, I think there is some further research that needs to be made in Latino students' lives. Because this text was about college students, I think more research on Latino students in elementary, middle, and high school would be beneficial. Additionally, research about teachers who have made an impact on their Latino students and what they did to do so would be a helpful tool for educators everywhere. Here's a list of my references. I hope you enjoyed my presentation.